We're getting our guests the battle lines drawn for the next election. Rachel Reeves saying this was an invoice for the economic carnage of the mini-budget.
Yeah, it was a pretty sobering speech, wasn't it, from the Chancellor? Here it is indeed, the Autumn Statement 2022. I think Jeremy Hunt, in many ways, would give Philip Hammond a run for his money in his dry delivery today, but maybe that was necessary given how difficult some of these decisions have been for the government, and indeed how difficult they will all be for all of us. I think there's a few things, Mark, that stick out, if you like. First of all, the IFS in the last couple of minutes or so in reaction to the budget stating that real household disposable income, so the money that you and I have in our pockets after tax and everything else, is to fall more than 7% over the next 2 years. It will be the biggest fall on record, and it will take down incomes to levels for about a decade, to 2013, i.e. everyone in the country pretty much is going to feel a lot worse off over the next 2 years. Again, how is that going to feed into the next general election? If people generally feel worse off under a government, particularly a government that's been in power for quite a long time, that will not necessarily play in their favour. I would add to this as well, coming from the right, if you like, is that also because of these decisions when it comes to taxation, that actually we're seeing the highest tax burden since 1948 on the country. Now, we had talked about under Boris Johnson it being the highest for 70 years. We're now going back essentially 80 years almost for the highest burden of taxation. There will be many within the Conservative Party who will feel very deeply uncomfortable about that. It was one of the big criticisms actually of Boris Johnson from the right. And in addition to all that, listening to Jeremy Hunt there and listening to Rachel Reeves, clearly the Labour opposition is trying to portray this as the Conservatives' fundamental problem, that this crisis has been created by the Conservative Party. Now, Jeremy Hunt had an answer in that, in suggesting that the OBR agreed that this was because of the pandemic and because of the war in Ukraine primarily. And it's the use of the word primarily there that is interesting, because I think irrespective of the facts and all of this, the perception now amongst a whole wave of voters is that lots of this mess is down to the Conservative Party. And again, yes, they can blame that on Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng to a degree, but it is how much the Conservative Party can regain the ground on that will be proved crucial leading into the next general election. So this is very, very difficult stuff. One of the things the government, though, has done is put lots of those spending cuts. We've had the tax rises, but lots of those spending cuts to beyond the next election. That might help ease the pain a little bit, because actually public spending is due to increase over the next couple of years. But be in no doubt how this is judged by the public, given some of the facts involved. Is this going to make the Conservatives' chances of winning the next election any easier? At the moment, you'd have to say that seems a bit less likely, I would suggest. And the polls at the moment are pretty difficult for them. We'll see where they are in a couple of days' time.